From the crack of dawn to the campfire at night, whether you're in the woods, on the water, or just dreaming about your next adventure, you're in the right place. This is Tailgate Outdoors.
Got a busy weekend coming up here, but it's also a busy time of the year. If you are hunting or fishing or anything like that, it's that time of the year. It's go time, and perfect time to get our buddy, Mr. Jake Bolks, in studio with us. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, man.
You got it. We appreciate you coming in here and such. So, first off, Labor Day weekends, on the calendar for you guys, is it one of your busiest times of the years? You got Memorial Day weekend and such. I mean, maybe the last time for some people to hit the water or go camping or anything like that.
It's that kind of unofficial end of the summer. Duck season starts on the Monday, so people are really transitioning into that fall, looking at deer, looking at ducks, putting the boats away, this and that. But yeah, it's a busy time. I mean, it seems like every season we could have the conversation like, is the duck opener, is the deer opener your busiest, is the fishing opener, there's so many. And then, ever since COVID, and I think it was trending before that, but these summer holidays in summer with the UTVs, ATVs, the boats, the e-foils and jet skis and state park camping, and the warden's now doing the law enforcement and the state park system.
Yeah.
The summer is quite busy. So those summer holiday weekends are full go. All wardens are out. And actually this weekend is the ATV Think Smart Before You Start campaign.
Okay.
Basically it's like Operation Dry Water for the boats, or like in the Christmas time, you see all the state patrols everywhere. They talk about those kind of like OWI saturation events. That's kind of what this weekend is for ATV UTVs.
Okay. So yeah, lots going on.
So there'll be a lot of deputies, a lot of game wardens out on the trails this weekend. So,
yep. So you mentioned duck hunting here quick too. So, I mean, that's Labor Day. It starts
Labor Day
on Monday.
Next Monday morning.
How about that? I mean, so you get Labor Day off and you can go duck hunting.
Yeah, it's fun. I know we were talking about it, but it's a fun kind of switch from the summer activities to the fall, whether it's working as a game warden or just, for us as sportsmen, if you're like, okay, I caught a bunch of fish, I'm ready for something else. It's like, well, here's your duck opportunity.
So, yep, exactly. So, is it the full on for anybody? Full on duck season in certain areas. What starts
question.
on Monday?
So Monday is only the early teal season. So if you're going out hunting, great opportunity. If you're going duck hunting, that is, it's the early teal season. It's through the 9th. It's always a 9-day season. I think we started this 5 or 6 years ago, or the Fed started it. But it's only teal, blue wing, green wing teal. So you got to identify the birds before you shoot them. The main thing with this season, not only is that you can only shoot teal, is that there are different, like a later start time every morning. So during your regular waterfall or duck season that starts later, end of September, beginning of October, it's really early starts because it's a 6 bag limit plus lots of different duck species. This is only teal, so they bump it up to like sunrise, so you have a better opportunity to identify your bird before you shoot it.
Okay.
So we do end up watching a lot of people shoot 30, 40 minutes early during the teal season because they're not looking at the rigs. So if you're going to go teal hunting, I really encourage you to read the special teal regulations. They put every shooting hours, they put their own like shooting hours graph in there with the start and stop in the regulations, so look at that.
Gotcha. We got a question coming in here right away. Dave says, morning, guys. I bought an archery license, but is it possible that I can upgrade to the crossbow and use go back and forth between using a crossbow and a regular bow during bow season?
Yeah, no, great question. They did add add that option a few years ago. I think it's like an extra $3.
Yeah.
So instead of buying an archery license and a crossbow license, each are about $24. You can just buy the add-on crossbow license for $3.
Okay.
So that way you can switch between whatever you're feeling for that day.
So
it doesn't give you any extra doe tags, doesn't give you any extra.
Can't get another buck.
You can't get another archery buck. There's not a vertical bow buck tag and a crossbow buck tag. It's all one. It's all under that archery umbrella. So like your traditional, your vertical, your crossbow, But yeah, it gives you a cheaper option to be able to use both.
So I can go, one weekend I'm going to go on this stand that's probably better suited for, for my longbow. But I'm like, okay, nothing's moving on. I can go to the next stand and use a crossbow.
We have a quick freeze and it's 38, 40 degrees. One morning you're sitting there and you want to wear gloves and use a crossbow instead of pulling back.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, switch them up. So we see that pretty often. I think they usually call it like a crossbow upgrade or an archery upgrade, and it's $3. So that's pretty cheap way to be able to use all your equipment.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, that's changed because I remember as a kid, I don't know if it was like that for you, but like you had to, not everybody could just get a crossbow license.
Oh no,
right?
Yeah. You had to have the paperwork, fill out basically a disabled license.
Right.
Just like now, if you want to, there are disabled licenses that the state hands out if you have some sort of disability where you can't walk into the woods or you can't do this or that. So there are those options if you are listening and you do have a disability that impinges, or even if it's like temporary, like you had, leg surgery, got a new knee this year. You can get a disability license for just a season. That gives you a little bit of extra opportunity. But you have to, it's not like you just tell the lady on the phone, my knees, I got a new knee, give me a new license to shoot from a road. You got to go through the paperwork and get a doctor's note and stuff on it like that.
Another question coming in. Do I have to have my crossbow or bow cased in the vehicle when I'm going to the woods?
Not anymore.
Okay.
So there definitely used to be a law where you had to have it cased. And from what I understand, wardens would, if that thing wasn't fully shut, the wardens were watching for that. I mean, those are my predecessors back in the day. Laws are different. Culture changes over the years. Now you can have it. I don't encourage this, but you can have that thing strapped right between your legs driving there, uncased, unloaded, obviously.
Right.
But you can have it there. You can put it in the back seat. Obviously, we always preach safety. And so you're going to want to probably make sure it's unloaded, make sure it's decocked, make sure it's in a case. But yeah, you don't have to have it there.
So staying with hunting, I know you're talking about early teal and such, but is it early goose going on? A lot of other ones.
And say that. So I was hitting mostly on the duck, but early goose is also open. So that's through the 15th. So the duck is always 9 days. The goose is always 15 days. So that's primarily what you're going to be seeing if you see waterfowlers out. Well, not even primarily. It should be what you're seeing.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to be checking for is that early goose season, that early teal season. You get six teals, 5 geese, stuff like that. So there's a little bit of different regulations, a little bit of different shooting times for the birds and stuff like that. So, like I say every week, is just make sure you read those regs before you go out because every year stuff changes or every year you might forget this or that. I do. I sometimes forget this or that. So I read through it and check on it and stuff like that. But there's other things that are also open to like snipe and rail and I don't think coot's open yet. That's the same as duck season, but I guess dove is open. But so there are some other things, but primarily this is like the big goose and teal season.
So otherwise, a lot of it looks like it starts too around that September 13th day with bow season and turkey and all that stuff. So like the 13th is a really big day in terms of the calendar.
Yeah.
and such.
So September is that month where everything starts popping, right? So you start with the waterfowl, the goose, then you go into your deer. Well, and there's bear earlier too.
Yep.
But then you got your deer, you got your archery, and then I think like the last weekend, September 27th or whatnot, that's the northern duck opener. So that's when you're really going to see everyone out and about chasing woodies, chasing mallards, stuff like that. So September really has a lot of those big popping off fall events, football starting, hunting starting,
school starting.
There's usually a little bit of a fall fish bite too in September. So it's a pretty good month for sportsmen and sportswomen.
Do you see, you mentioned the fishing part and with everything going on in September, do you see a little bit of a drop in, boats on the water or fish or is it still pretty, or is it really weather dependent maybe too?
There's definitely weather dependency because if it's 80 degrees out in the middle of September, a lot of people don't want to sit in a deer stand. So they'll go fishing. But I know a lot of people go north, chase walleye. I'm doing a little bit of that in a couple weeks. If it's cold mornings, they might want to sit. Hot afternoons, they might want to fish. We still see tons of fishermen what we see a significant drop in is the recreational boating activity. So busy boat launches in the morning per usual. Everyone's catching panfish, catching whatever. And then usually when that rec crowd would come in, it's a little bit lighter with school and sports and stuff like that. So that's probably the biggest change when it comes to like water. The fishermen are still there. Some people don't care about deer. They just want to catch fish out here.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Quick question that came in about bear hunting. I'm not a bear hunter myself, but a lot of people around me are bear hunters and they use dogs. If I catch dogs on my trail cameras, who do I contact for that?
Yeah, great question. Not an uncommon complaint when it comes to hounders. The only answer is if you have dogs on your property, especially catch them on your trail camera, so you have digital evidence of it, call your local sheriff's office. It's trespassing. What that is, it's trespassing. There's not really any DNR violation specifically for allowing a dog to run onto a private land. It's just covered under your general statewide trespassing, and the trespassing authority is on the sheriff's department. So whatever county you live in, call the local sheriff's non-emergency line, explain what you got. They're very familiar with it. If they're running dogs wherever you're at, they've received that complaint before. So call in, have a conversation, and especially if you have an idea who it is or you know who it is, make sure to transfer that information to that sheriff's department and that deputy working with you.
I've seen like signs kind of where I'm at too, where the landowners will have signs say no dogs allowed on there. Do they have to have that on there, or is that just
good question. So in Wisconsin, you do not have to identify your property as closed to anyone or anything.
Okay.
The state law for trespassing is just that as a private landowner, you automatically, everyone's restricted from your property unless they have consent to be there, or like you have a public easement or something like that. But the law is that everyone's private property is closed unless you have received consent, whether that's verbal or written consent from the landowner to be on that property, which includes dogs or dumping illegal materials or discharging stuff or whatever. Our land is pretty locked up as a private landowner. Unless you let someone be there or their dog be there, they can't be there. So it's automatically trespassing.
So can they run dogs on like the national forest and such?
National forest, county forest, state forest, dogs can be ran. And that's why we see a lot more of the hounding up north, not only because there's a big bear population up there and such, but when you have those huge tracts of land, then and respectfully to the hounders, that's the best way to do it. When you have these big tracts of land, then you don't have to worry about asking 35 different landowners for permission,
right?
Because they can't control their dogs. I mean, they can to an extent. They can control where they release them. They can control where they grab them or whatnot, but they can't really control the dog when it's 2 miles away or a mile away or whatever. So, and we understand that part of it. So that's why you'll see them in the county forest. You'll see them in the forest up north, the big national forest, because they can run and run and run and not have to worry about any sort of property line issues.
This is an interesting question. This comes in from Tom. Tom says, "Morning, gentlemen. Not sure if you can help answer this one, but I was reading in a bow hunting magazine a while ago about a new app that could help track deer. It's kind of like a black light that can find the blood trail. Is there any restrictions on technology like that in helping tracking deer?"
Not super familiar with that, but as far as not familiar with that app or that technology, but the question is, is there a restriction on the technology? There's not really a restriction on the technology that would assist you like that. So there's a restriction on, shooting the deer at night or carrying weapons with you if you're tracking it with a dog. There's some restrictions on if you're using a drone and if you're the hunter or not the hunter. The time of day, where you're doing it, and if you think the deer's dead. So there's some restrictions on drone. But when it comes to like something you're doing to track your animal, whether you're using black lights or flashlights or lanterns or whatnot, there's not really any, or there isn't any regulations that kind of dictate how you find it.
Okay. I don't know if this is the app, but I had to Google it. It's called Track and Trail, and the video looks like
just pretty cool.
Yeah, the video looks like just a black light. I could show you when we're off here, but they're walking and red pops up on there. So I mean,
hey, if it works, if something like that works, there's nothing illegal about it. When it comes to using phones and apps and stuff like that, as long as you're not using it in a sense of like register, illegal group deer hunting or something like that, like somehow calling your buddy, you can use all that kind of stuff. So we want a successful harvest, and recovery of every animal, ducks, deer, bears. So that's something that helps a couple more deer get found, recovered this year, then that sounds cool.
On that note, somebody just texted in, since you guys are talking about that, what about cougars? Is that something that you guys want to be aware of? Or
yeah, so there is, and I don't have it exactly the right term here, but if you go to the DNR website, there's a search little not microscope, but a little magnifying glass on the front page. It just says search, and if you just type in unusual animal, you're gonna find
Bigfoot.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I've definitely had people report that.
Oh, really?
Well, there's this form. It's the unusual species or an animal sighting form. And it's really the best way to document stuff, because if you tell me something, then I got to like send it to this person, sends it to sends it to blah, blah, blah. If you just fill out this form, it's very user friendly. It's like, what did you see? Where did you see it? When did you see it? Do you want to be contacted about it? Do you have any pictures of it? And it goes exactly to the right contact that helps document that and keep those records for the state. But yeah, I've had people, moose, cougars, lynx, Bigfoot, all that kind of stuff.
Please tell me somebody sent a picture of Bigfoot.
I've yet to see it.
Oh, come on.
They said they didn't have a picture.
Oh, we need to talk off air on that one.
Well,
That's
I'll tell you
what,
if someone brings it to me, I'm not gonna defy it. I'd love to see it too.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of an infatuation with it when I was younger.
Right.
I mean, come on.
I still do.
So I was gonna say, when you were younger.
I mean, look right there. There's right there. So
it's the biggest thing in your room here.
Yep, exactly.
In your studio.
And it'll be the biggest thing in the new studio here in a couple weeks too. So, but all right. So people have
Yeah. No, it's not uncommon to take those calls.
Real. Oh man. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
See, now I just got all excited
it's
about
fun
that.
stuff,
I'd rather talk about that.
But really, it is a good lead into just using that form, because a lot of people call the local warden or biologist, and that's fine. But if you really want it, if the best way just to get it documented, and then it's in our stats and facts and figures, is use that form, and it goes right to where it needs to go. So I saw something in my profession. It was like a wolf collar, and it was a juvenile wolf, a male one. And they showed that thing in like a 5-month time frame go from the highest point of the UP all the way down to like middle Illinois, back up into Wisconsin, and it ended up back up in northern Wisconsin. But that thing in 5 months went through 3 different states, hundreds, if not thousands of miles. And if cougar, so it just helps show a lot of animals do that.
Right, exactly. I think when you see that, I've seen like maps and where they've tracked it. It's unreal to see the amount of miles they cover.
And it's only a matter of time. We'll see more transient elks up here from more transient elk up here from the Black River herd. They're more and more. There's more bulls, less females. And territorial, and they're going to start pushing up further north, and you'll see them moving around looking for other members of their species. So don't be surprised if one day in Fairchild there's an elk wandering through. They'll probably go back south, but it's not going to be uncommon here pretty soon.
Another texter coming in. Morning, guys. I saw a video on Facebook about a huge white buck up north in Wisconsin, and of course all the comments on there we're debating whether you could legally harvest that deer or not. Can you help explain the difference between an albino and a white deer, and what is legal to harvest that type of deer?
Yeah, good question, especially with the deer season coming. So as of right now, in the whole entire state of Wisconsin, all white deer are illegal to shoot. So whether it's albino, which is your albino animal of any species, it's your pink eyes, pink hooves, pink nose, all white animal. That's your true classic albino. A white deer is usually a deer that's 99% all white, but the eyes are going to, have your pigmentation in it. Same with hooves and stuff like that. So it's going to look like a regular deer, but white, versus the albino ones. You're like, what's off with that deer? What makes a deer legal to shoot is like when it becomes a piebald deer, which means, I don't know, kind of think of like a Holstein cow or something, where you have a lot of brown mixed in with the white. Generally, we say it's got to have, at least a spot, if not more, bigger than like a softball of brown in order for it to be legally harvestable. And that doesn't include areas around like around all the glands. So the glands on the legs, the head, all those areas don't count as like the brown because that's the natural secretion from the deer, from the glands. It's the dirt from the ground. It's the bark from the trees from rubbing that makes their fur brown. It's not actually brown. It's just dirty. Those animals are still white deer. So what I always like to tell hunters that ask me this question is just that unless you know you can harvest it, take cool pictures of it, let it live. Don't chance, a criminal violation because it is a crime to shoot one. They're talking about, making it legal to shoot white deer in some of the central counties in the state, Wood, Portage, maybe even Clark, around there, because there's so many of them. There's no biological reason to not shoot them. It's just a cultural thing. It's culturally, we like seeing them on the landscape. There haven't been a ton of them historically, so we wanted to protect them culturally. But over the years, now they're reproducing, and there's some areas where like you go to a field and it's 90% white deer, and then like, oh, there's a brown deer. So that makes it harder for some hunters. So that's why they're talking about different regulations or legislation on changing some of that. But white deer, illegal to shoot. Albino deer, illegal to shoot. It's got to have a bunch of brown on it mixed in with that white in order for it to be legal. And if you have questions, call your local warden with a picture of it because they're going to give you the same answer I did. The easiest way for us to say yes or no is to provide a trail camera picture that's in color, or a camera phone or something like that.
I think that's key because I think that's something I learned from you a couple of years ago because I've talked to you. I think every year we've got a couple of them on ours.
Yeah.
The glands part, like, okay, well, it's got a black spot.
Right.
And you're like, well, that could actually be,
there's a lot of glands on deer that you don't even know of or you don't think of until like you have these types of conversations. And especially the head. We've had to seize deer several times locally because they're like, oh no, the head's brown. And it's like, dude, like you wipe the head, and all the dust comes off and it's white fur and you're like, oh, so.
Yep. Exactly. You got time for a couple more before we take a quick break?
I got no rush here.
All right. So a couple more here. Morning, gentlemen. Is there any rules on a typical bow? I'm assuming they mean like just a compound bow.
Vertical compound.
To have a laser sight or a scope on it? I don't know. Do they make scopes like that? I don't know. I know they used to have like the red dot scopes on there.
Yeah. No, basically when it comes to any sort of whether you're kind of hunting at night, which you can't hunt for deer at night anyways, and whether it casts a light or not, more in accordance with our shining regulations than not. If you're hunting during the day, just like with a gun or something, if it's got a red dot, if it's got some sort of, lighting system or this or that, that's only lighting up like the pins or the red dot or this or that, that's fine. You can't cast a light at an animal and shoot it. So like if you put a laser on it, you're casting a light at that animal. And that doesn't matter what you're hunting or fishing. Well, not fishing, but hunting is you can't spotlight animals. And spotlight is defined not as just like a handheld flashlight. It's just anything that casts a light. So your truck lights, your light bar, your flashlights, a laser, those are all lights. Those are all like casting a light on something. So don't use anything with a laser where you're like seeing a green or red dot hit the animal before you shoot it. But if it lights up your scope, if there's a scope on it and stuff like that, there is a lot of, there's always new equipment. So I can't speak specifically on the question or on that equipment. But if you have questions about it, especially if it's a expensive purchase, $800,000, call our customer service line or call your local warden first and tell them what you're thinking about buying and being like, is this legal in the state of Wisconsin? And just have that conversation because it might save you $1,000.
Yeah, no kidding. Last one here for you.
Yeah.
With deer season coming up here, can you explain what are the rules for shining deer? Because I got to imagine there's going to be more people attempting to do that.
Yeah, no, great question. So September 15th, starting the 15th, all the way through December 31st, you can still shine deer, but you have to stop at 10 p.m. and you can restart at 7 a.m. So there's a prohibition from 10 in the evening to 7 in the morning from the 15th through the end of the year. The rest of the times of the year, so like right now, you can shine 24/7. There's no prohibition or anything like that. when you go shining, no matter what time of the year it is, you can never have a weapon with you. So you can't have your case crossbow in the bed of your truck. Obviously, if that's the case, there's no intention to poach a deer or this or that. But the law is you can't have any sort of weapons with you. A pocket knife isn't defined in this rule, so you can have your pocket knife, stuff like that.
Careful, it might have a Rambo out
there. Well, you
yeah.
never. Well, trust me. But guns, bows, whatever kind of bow you have, stuff like that, can't have it. Can't even be cased up under a pile of wood in the back of your pickup truck. Like, just leave it out. So we see it mostly, well, when we catch poachers. I mean, there's no doubt that what they're doing then, but when we see it accidentally is like when people hang out at a friend's house after hunting. They go home at 9-10 o'clock. They shine some fields, hit some spotlights on the way home, and then they're like, oh crap, they get pulled over and they're like, I was just hunting earlier. I was or what we're seeing a lot more recently is like people, it's 7 a.m. So most people are up at, 4, 5, 6 in the morning on their way out, and they're spotlighting deer or, making an extra effort to use their headlights to see deer in the field.
Yep.
And they're on their way hunting. So that's illegal. So that's where you can get pulled over at 5, 6 in the morning by the game warden. And we're up 24/7. So there's always someone out there working, and you could get pulled over and get a shining ticket or a shining and possession ticket before 7 in the morning. So you want to be careful about that.
So you see that truck kind of make that weird
turn.
The big
and stop. S turns in the middle of the road. They go really slow on the corner with their high beams, or you see some of these trucks with these big old light bars that light up half the county. We can see it too.
Yeah.
It makes it easier for us, but again, we have discretion. I feel like sometimes when I'm talking, I sound either like a hard ass or like we're out to write tickets. We're not. I just like to explain the law, as it's stated. So, and explain what we're looking for. We have a ton of common sense. We have a ton of discretion, and we like to use it. We probably write more warnings for it because it's people that are actually doing it after 10 o'clock and they forgot they had their gun in the trunk of their car or whatever.
Right.
We'll use our discretion on that. But what the reason for the law is because, unfortunately, there are a lot of violators. There are a lot of poachers. And these are some of those laws that help game wardens do our job, hold people accountable, protect the resources, protect landowners. So that's the reason for laws like these.
Jake, appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Stopping by and hanging out with us for a while. So that was a lot of, and thank you to everybody who sent in questions too.
Yeah.
So
no, I appreciate it. And on the questions, obviously you can reach out to me anytime, Eau Claire Warden here. But if you're hunting up north, if you're hunting down south, you have a question before you go hunting, use our information line, our 188 number, use our tip line to call. Even if you have a question, you can call our tip line. They'll get you to a warden. Call your local warden. We love answering questions. We're supposed to know all those answers, and a lot of us know most of them, if not all of them. So call us as a resource. We like helping the public. We like people being in compliance.
Right. Big thanks to Jake for joining us and answering all of your questions before you head out to the great outdoors. Reminder, if you ever have a question for Jake, just hit us up on our texting line, 715-830-1912. That's going to do it for this episode of Tailgate Outdoors. Reminder, if you ever miss an episode of Tailgate Outdoors, you can check it out on our podcast or on the Man Cave podcast. It's available wherever you get your podcasts. Be safe, take a kiddo outdoors, and best of luck. We'll talk to you on the next episode of Tailgate Outdoors.